Welcome to Wineline TV and our review of the Mazzei Wine Dinner held at Citrus Club just a couple of days ago. We were fortunate enough to have Giovanni Mazzei fly in from Tuscany to lead the event. So, may I introduce you to Giovanni Mazzei?
Major job was being artisans making barrels for wines. So that's where our name comes from. Mazzei, Mazza's a hammer.
Thank you.
And in fact, in our coat of arms, you have a red stripe, and inside the red stripe, you got some hammers. And back in the days, in the 11th century, the hammers were wooden hammers, symbolizing that we're working with the wood and making barrels. Then we're coming from a little village just near Florence called Carmignano, and unfortunately, the family got bigger and the town too small, and we moved towards Florence. A part of the family moved towards Florence, and there we started a career in military and politics. Going to, at one point, we have one of the major characters of the family is Ser Lapo Mazzei. Ser Lapo lived in the 14th century, and he was at the time Florence was a republic, very important republic, very modern republic, and Ser Lapo was the notary of the republic. And he was also an ambassador, covering few embassies on behalf of Tuscany, of Florence. But he's remembered mainly for his passion for wines and for his knowledge in viticulture and how to produce wine, and most of all, because he's left us with one document, whereas the first document that we know the existence of Chianti as a wine. That's thanks to his document where he's trading some barrels of Chianti wine. That letter is signed on the 1398. And it says, on this day, December 16, 1398, 3 florins, 26 soldi in denari, that's the currency of today, shall be given to Piero Ritino Riccio for 6 barrels of Chianti wine. The aforementioned will be paid by little letter Ser Lapo Mazzei. So the interesting thing is doing exactly what I'm doing today. He's selling an appellation. He's not really explaining what are the varieties and what's inside the barrel, but he's telling about the appellation. So he's trading a region. So he's going beyond just explaining what are the varieties. So that's why I find it really fascinating. So we haven't discovered anything basically. We just keep on doing what we've been doing for many, many years. The other interesting thing is it says aforementioned it will be paid by little letter Ser Lapo Mazzei. So already in 1398 they were paying with a check basically. So they had the international agreements. The Bank of Florence was really open, very internationally, and it's been giving financing a lot about the kingdom. So they had really international agreements, so you could travel without your money. And then one of the other major characters that you can see in your brochure is this gentleman called Filippo Mazzei, called by the Americans Philip, but this gentleman is called Filippo. And Filippo was an extraordinary man. He was a liberal thinker, how we just saying before, as a citizen of the world, a very open-minded type of person. He graduated in philosophy and in medicine, and then he wanted to explore and traveled Europe. He was following new ideas around Europe, new ideas, the democracy. We're just about to have the French Revolution. He lived in London, but he had a really good friendship with the Grand Duke of Tuscany. The Grand Duke of Tuscany asked him he wanted to renovate the heating system of Florence. So he asked him to buy, he heard some very interesting stoves, and he told him, listen, you need to go and meet this family, they're called Franklin, and they sell the Franklin stoves. And they go and meet with Benjamin Franklin. So with Benjamin Franklin, they get along immediately, they sharing a lot of ideas together, and through Benjamin Franklin got introduced to Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Bryan Adams. Then he understood the potential of what's just about to happen, of the American independence. So he just ran back home and said, listen, Grand Duke of Tuscany, we need to support these guys. We need to do something. We need to finance the American independence, and because we'll get a lot of beneficial. He thought very commercially. And the Grand Duke of Tuscany, hold on a second, we can't really be doing something so official. So we need to find a way. I'm interested, but we need to find a way to do it. So he let him leave Italy with 3 ships with vines, olive trees, farmers who can teach how to grow vines and olive trees and weapons and money. And he arrived in Virginia. He lived with Thomas Jefferson at Monticello. Thomas Jefferson let him use part of his land, the famous part of the famous Monticello, where he started producing, start growing green vineyards. So he's basically the first one who brought wine to this coast of America. Unfortunately, he wasn't aware of the phylloxera, but the idea of Thomas Jefferson and Philip, they were sharing this idea of creating the new chateau to start selling. So, you know, Thomas Jefferson was really passionate about wine. So to create a new chateau to sell back to Europe. Unfortunately, it didn't go how they wanted to, but most of all, Thomas Jefferson, Philip has been remembered by the US government as an American patriot, mainly not because of the viticulture, but mainly for what the inspirational that he's been for Thomas Jefferson, especially for the endorsement on men created equal. Well, you believe it or not, but the cornerstone of the American Constitution, which is beautiful, all men are created equal, should pursue life and happiness. That phrase was part of the letters written by Philip way before the Constitution. So it came out that they say that Thomas Jefferson was inspired by Philip Mazzei for this endorsement. A big fan of Philip Mazzei is JFK, who writes about Filippo Mazzei in his book A Country of Immigrants. And he says about how much he's been contributing for the Americans without being an American. In fact, there's funny letters of after 20 years of being in America, in Virginia, Philip wanted to retire back to Europe and back to Italy. And this is writing a letter trying to persuade him to stay because there's still a lot to do. And nothing. He came back to Europe and became, believe it or not, became the Prime Minister of Poland for 1 year because the King Stanislaw was very worried about not being modern enough and risking a revolution in his country. So he asked him, he was considered a modernizer. So he asked him to come and help him to restore his country. Then he retired near Pisa. Unfortunately, he had only one daughter, so he's basically my great uncle. Anyway, what we did, we wanted to celebrate this man because he really deserved a lot. So we made a wine for him, 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, blended from two wineries that we own in Tuscany, but the historical one in Chianti Classico, where we produce wine since the 15th century, and from the Maremma, which is the latest, one of the latest adventures that we did with our family. The Maremma is southwest of Tuscany, with a delicious place for white wine. That's what we got served now. It's a Vermentino, typical, it's a very Mediterranean variety, quite sapid, very citric, and nice minerality, very fresh. And then we're gonna have a serrata, which is another expression of something, a lighter version of red from the coast, but very pleasant, with a nice drinkability, a blend of Sangiovese Alicante. And then we're gonna have other two wines. But Philip, going back to Philip we celebrated with the Cabernet Sauvignon with a bit of American oak to give a bit of American twist. And the label is a funny label that you see also in the brochure. It's a painting, it's an interpretation of done by the FUA, which is the Florence University of Art. That they did an interpretation of a portrait of Philip, the portrait of Philip painted by Jean-Luc David, a famous painter. And this painting it's hanging in the Louvre of Paris. Wow. And then we're gonna continue with the Mix 36 in Castello di Fonterutoli, but I will tell you later because otherwise I'll probably prefer talking to your friends. Because at the end of the day, that's all about. I mean, we're sitting at the table, we're enjoying food but with beautiful wines to make sure our nights are even more beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Hey, good to meet you.
So, welcome everyone. I'll come in and tell you about your food through each course tonight. So he did a great job telling you all about the wines and things that are happening. But what we did on the plate was some marinated artichokes. We pan-seared those. Took us some shrimp and I marinated it with a little bit of garlic and thyme. Roast those off in the oven. Then I took a bottle of this wine. I reduced it down just with a little bit of just a touch of honey, and then I put some lemon juice and emulsified it with a little bit of olive oil. So so that's the sauce goes on top, and then we have a little crispy prosciutto and pecorino romano cheese that goes on top of that. So, all right.
Wine Center Fuel, there's somebody out there in the restaurant. Maybe you can look how we look for it.
Okay, everyone.
Two games, but they love
for
it.
this
Can't go
course,
wrong with Fenway.
I did a little veal scalpini, so just some nice veal top round. We took that, pounded that out. We breaded it with a little bit of seasoned flour, seared that off. I have some pappardelle pasta. If you don't know, my father makes fresh pasta down in Bonita Springs, so I had to make it fresh and ship it up to us for this dinner. So it's really nice fresh pappardelle pasta. And the sauce, I made a sun-dried cherry marinara sauce. So I took some sun-dried cherries, I cooked them in the wine, and then I add a little bit of tomato sauce to that, pureed the whole thing, so really nice, should round out that dish really well.
Chianti Classico, we're back in Chianti Classico, where we produce wine since the 15th century. The beauty about this estate is the locations. We've got 5 locations where the vineyards are. We're going from 200 meters from the sea level up to almost 600. A lot of biodiversity. And these 5 locations are break down in small plots. And to really find the best combination, to really make sure we really understand the diversity, we've been selecting further the Sangiovese. Chianti Classico is made mainly with Sangiovese. In this particular case, Sangiovese with Colorino and Malvasia Nera, 2 indigenous varieties. And we've been selecting for many years the Sangiovese to find the right combination. Today we work with 36 different sub-varietals of the Sangiovese. This, as Robert said, is a Chianti Classico Gran Selezione. Gran Selezione is the top of the pyramid of production of the Chianti Classico. So you're drinking the most expressive wine that the region has. And I find the 2011 a classic vintage of Sangiovese, where you got really nice supple tannins, but it's very silky, great drinkability, and I think it goes really well with what we with the pappardelle and the veal scaloppine. Hope you enjoy it.
But, so this next course we did pork belly. So we smoked some pork belly. Then what I did is I braised it with a bottle of the wine, some chicken stock, and some demi-glace. And then I took that, added some black currants, and I reduced it all the way down to kind of finish the sausages on the top. On the bottom it's a porcini mushroom truffle polenta cake. So we just made that with a little bit of cream, chicken stock, and then of course the truffles and porcini mushrooms. Hope you enjoy that.
Thank you. Telling you about the sub-region of Sangiovese, the sub-varieties of the Sangiovese for the Castello that we've been selecting Sangiovese. And this is the result. So Mix 36 is a blend of 36 different types of Sangiovese. Oh, you didn't even know. But one variety has many different varieties, sub-varieties. So no, let's say technically we can call it clones. But not genetic clones, but selections, naturally selected. And we have a nursery project where we select the Sangiovese, where we have the 36 different types of Sangiovese planted together. So this is a single vineyard coming from this vineyard called Vicoreggio, and the wine we call it Mix 36 because we bring in together all the 36 different types of Sangiovese. I like to say this is the heart beating of Fonteruto. Cheers to that. Viva! Just like bothering it.
Okay, everybody. For your entrees this evening, we did lamb. So, good everybody.
Meanwhile, you're like, what?
So, for this course, we did lamb. I did lamb racks.
Completely oblivious.
We cleaned those up, we seared those off, we finished those in the oven, and we sliced each chop for you. Underneath is a Parmesan rosemary risotto. And then for the sauce, I took a bottle of wine, reduced it down with some demi-glace, and then I put vanilla beans and dried plums in there, and then I strained those out. So it's a vanilla bean plum demi-glace to go with that.
Very good.
Philippe, it's 100% Cabernet. We're using American oak to give a bit of an American twist. So what's nice about this Cabernet, generally Cabernet is more vegetal, you have more green peppers. Here instead it's very earthy and mineral, which is showing very well the provenance of this Cabernet. The southwest of Tuscany, Maremma, gives this like a very earthy and minerals along with the blend. It's blended also with the Chianti Classico Cabernet. And then the American oak gives a bit of American twist, giving a bit of a bit of a exotic character, no? So if you can feel a bit of pineapples and a bit of more aromatics due to the American oak. But it's very well integrated. What I like, again, you got clear the style of my family. It's very nice drinkability. It's not a big, thick Cabernet, but it's actually a very elegant, silky Cabernet. And I think with the lamb chop, it couldn't go any better.
This is Robert, not Giovanni. I want to tell you about the last wine of the evening that we had with the dessert course. It is Serrata, and it is made with Sangiovese and Alicante, and it comes from the Maremma area. It is a wonderfully rich wine and was a delicious pairing with the chef's dessert. Now, stay tuned because Giovanni is going to give you some clues about how to remember a great wine that you've had. So,
Well, most of the people ask me, how do I have a wine knowledge? How do I learn to know about wine? I said, there's only one thing you have to do. When you order for wine, or someone pours your wine, before sipping the wine, just look at the label and try to remember the label and what you just been sipping. Then have a blast, have your best time ever, but you will remember because it's all about memory.